Hi, it's Danny from Game Theory College Planners. We have a special walk and talk in store for you today. We're going to be sitting down, well, walking and talking with Rick Clark here at Georgia Tech in downtown Atlanta. Also joining us is Sammy Rose Sinclair. We're going to talk about what the admissions process looks like today, and we're also going to talk about the role that social media plays in the admissions process. Here we go. I have Rick Clark with me here, and Rick, I'll let you tell everybody who you are.
My name is Rick Clark. I'm the Director of Undergrad Admission at Georgia Tech, which is where we are today. And I've been the director here since late 2008, so happy to see you.
Back in the day, when acceptance letters came in the mailbox,
Yeah.
and when you were applying to college, back then, what did you think it took to get into a good college? And then knowing what you know now, what's the difference?
Well, I think, so putting myself back in that mentality, I think it was largely, hey, test scores, good classes, good grades. And to an extent, I remember writing essays, and I remember thinking that what I had done outside the classroom mattered. So all that still holds. There's no doubt. I think that the difference now, knowing what I do, and frankly, just especially at a place like this, is the volume is just so high that the vast majority of kids who apply, they have all that. I kind of thought that there was like a bar to jump, and that's just not the way it is, because honestly 90% of the kids who apply or clear that bar easily. So it becomes things like what we would call institutional priorities, which basically means like, what's Georgia Tech trying to create, and how do we go about enrolling students that are gonna shape that class? It's not just like check boxes, and if you do that, you're gonna get in. It is that way at some schools, but it's not that way at the more competitive schools. The applicants pools are just so strong.
What do you look for in an applicant?
Yeah, big picture, what we look for in applicants is, I tell students the big thing is, what colleges are looking for is good high school students. Not just good high school students in terms of like the classes you take and the grades you make, but what you're doing outside the classrooms. The people that are having an impact on their community, influencing people that are around them, really truly involved, whether it be with clubs and organizations, working, etc. If you're a good high school student, you're doing all the things you, quote, should be doing to be a good college applicant.
Well, can you help me dispel a few myths here? Because sometimes we can get caught up in the noise, and one of the myths that are out there is to get into Georgia Tech, you need a 4.7 weighted GPA, right, 85 AP credits, and 1,700 on the SAT. But what would you say about that?
I would say, look, there's definitely students like that. Without a doubt, right? There are those students who kind of have all those things. They're academic all-stars, and they get in. There's also people that look just like that who don't get in. At the end of the day, right, it's a supply and demand type of situation. So, for us this last year, 45,000 applicants, class is 3,450, admit rate was 18%. Yeah, you have kids who are just the very top of their class, and they end up getting admitted. But just as many, or frankly more, who are academically the same as the kid who gets in and then they don't, which is why I think it's confusing.
Yeah, you have the toughest job in the world. When you said about the volume of applicants, there are a lot of amazing students that do amazing things.
Yeah.
Just I don't know how you say yes to one and no to the other. It's just, there's a lot of them. Well, I'll hit you with this one last question is, what role do you see social media playing in the admissions process?
I think it's a complicated question in a way, because back to what we just were talking about, higher education, college in America, that is, you don't put that in a box, right? Look, there are schools like a Georgia Tech where, generally speaking, we think we're the ones using social media to try to help tell a story beyond the website, beyond the publications. Whereas there are, without a doubt, schools around the country who are way more proactive about how they're using social media we're using it, I would say, on a macro level, and there's engagement, but it's rarely very actionable. Whereas I think there are absolutely schools out there who are putting out that general macro content and using that in a way to start to build relationships that, you know, go all the way down to the point of enrollment. And that might happen occasionally for a place like Tech, but pretty rarely.
All right. Well, Rick, I want to thank you for your time.
Yeah, of course.
All
Thanks
right.
for coming.
Hi everyone, my name is Sammy. I'm a senior admission counselor at Georgia Tech. So I work with first year students and then I coordinate all the admission social media.
Well, I'll ask you the same question I asked Rick earlier, because what did you think back then it took to get into a good college? And then if you fast forward today, knowing what you know now, has that viewpoint changed?
Sure. I really applied to college so 2010, right?
Okay.
Dawn of social media, dawn of even the Common App, right?
Yes.
So I was not well informed. Thank goodness for my mother carrying me through that admission process. So I would have been thinking about the basics, right? The transcript, the test scores, really kind of the quantitative, the easiest things to compare. And what I know now is like, sure, those are important parts, but it's so much about the qualitative, right? What is that fit of the student, the thing that can't be captured by a test score, and how does that relate to the school? And I know a lot of times we think about fit as like the major, the location, that sort of thing, but like when you see that student and all that they've accomplished, can you see them on campus, right? That's sort of what I think about now, and that's really how my perspective has changed since way back when.
Fast forward to today, right? We've got TikTok, Instagram, and it seems like there's a new social media account coming out every 5 seconds.
All the apps.
What role do you see social media in the admissions process?
Rick mentioned this a little bit when y'all were chatting, that's going to vary a whole lot from school to school, depending on sort of their capacity and their process. But for us, see it sort of as an opportunity to create a sense of face and place for the student on our campus, right? So that's really going to help a student. Man, you think of this past year, right? And that process where
you couldn't go on campus.
You couldn't go on campus, and so we needed to create that, and not only from the admission account, but when you think of all the different accounts that exist in sort of the stratosphere of Georgia Tech, right? A student can get a really authentic look at what life on campus is like. The role I really think is that it creates an opportunity for engagement in a way that maybe email doesn't, or sort of the big webinars, right? That sort of interaction, I think, is such a great role that social media serves.
Yeah, I like what you said about engagement, because it provides, I think, opportunities where you wouldn't get on a college visit. Sammy, I want you to thank you for taking time to chat with us today.
Thank you.
All right.